Good afternoon, everyone. This is Ben Herzog with the National Weather Service in Milwaukee, bringing you a bit of an update on the first winter weather event we've got coming into our forecast area here in southern Wisconsin. What we're looking at is our first chance for accumulating snowfall beginning later this evening, lasting through the evening and into the early morning hours. Snowfall amounts, nothing too major, looking from about ½ inch or so in our far southwest, up to 2 inches or so near the Sheboygan area. One thing to keep in mind, this is the first accumulating snowfall of the year, and there does tend to be a lot of accidents when that snow comes down. People maybe are not quite as used to driving in those conditions because it has been so long since they've had to deal with that. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look at what we've got coming toward us. Again, we've got this winter weather possible across southern Wisconsin. This is our first accumulating snowfall occurring this evening and tonight. Here's a map of the precipitation amounts. We'll get into that a little bit more here in a second with a bigger view so you can take a look what's going on. But here's a radar loop of what we're expecting later this afternoon and into the evening. As the loop starts back over here, you can start beginning later this afternoon. The precipitation, the snowfall is going to begin up here in northern Wisconsin and gradually work its way down to the south. You can see this first little wave impacting Sheboygan, Fond du Lac, those areas initially, then pushing through. Then there's going to be this bit of a gap back here, and eventually that'll fill back in and push through the rest of the forecast area. So you can see here we are expecting all of southern Wisconsin to get in on the action, but more snow is going to fall closer to Lake Michigan and then farther north. So Sheboygan is looking for the highest snowfall amounts in our area, with the least amount of snowfall kind of to the south and west of Madison. We're only expecting up to an inch, probably more like a ½ inch in those areas. So getting back to the snowfall totals, here's what we're looking at. You can see here the highest amounts just above 2 inches in Sheboygan. Decreasing as you go to the southwest, we've got about an inch forecast for Madison, inch and a half or so for Milwaukee, and then as you get down into the Darlington, Mineral Point areas, less than that even. But again, looking like a good chance for at least a little bit of accumulating snowfall for everybody. Here's a closer look at the beginning time for our snowfall. You can see that initial wave that you saw on the radar coming down into the Fond du Lac and Sheboygan areas between 4 and 6 p.m. Then we start to fill back in, getting kind of the rest of our northern tiers between 6 and 8 p.m. Then between 8 and 10 p.m. or so is when we're expecting it to really start impacting our major metro areas. You can see here Madison, Milwaukee, the I-94 corridor between the two of those, looking to start getting that accumulating snow between 8 and 10 p.m. and then finally pushing down toward the state line between 10 p.m. and maybe even as late as midnight there. One thing to point out here, this is the beginning time of when we're expecting snow to start accumulating. Before that, we may see some flurries or light snow come down. It's just not really going to stick on anything at first because it's just not going to be coming down very hard. So when's the snow going to finally push out of here? Well, that's going to be kind of in a west to east fashion. You can see here between 10 p.m. and midnight, that's when the snow is going to finally start leaving our western areas. Between midnight and 2 a.m., we'll start getting out of, say, like the Madison to Green Lake area. And then between 2 and 4 a.m. is when we're thinking it's going to push off completely toward Lake Michigan. Something else I'd like to talk about is it's going to be rather breezy tomorrow. And with this snow, we're expecting it to be a pretty light and fluffy snow. So you can see here we've actually got wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour along Lake Michigan, with a little bit lesser amounts, closer to like 25 miles an hour or so off to our west. That could create a situation where it's actually able to pick up the snow and blow it around. Certainly can probably see some drifting snow and possibly even lofting the snow high enough into the air to cause some visibility restrictions due to blowing snow. So just something to be aware of as we're going forward. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. This is an experimental product based off of some statistical analyses that kind of give you an idea of sort of what the bare minimum amount of snow that we could see is, and then sort of what the worst case scenario would be. So this is our sort of bare minimum amounts. You can see up here in Sheboygan, we're still looking at about an inch or so, and then again, still decreasing to less than an inch, even as low as 0 inches some parts to our southwest. When you're looking for the potential for at least this much, it's really not much it's not that much greater than our official forecast. You can see only about 3 inches here in Sheboygan, more like 2 inches farther to the south and west, and then closer to 1 inch as you get down towards, say, the Platteville area or so. So that's pretty much all I've got for you. Again, we've got snow pushing into southern Wisconsin later this evening, lasting into the early morning hours. 2 to a little bit less, 2 inches near Sheboygan, to lesser amounts farther south and west. It'll be a light, fluffy snow, and you can expect pretty breezy and chilly conditions tomorrow. As we approach this event, remember to continue to pay attention to what's going on. You can follow us here on Facebook or on Twitter. We'll be posting to YouTube, and there's always our website as well. So with that, thank you for tuning in, and let us know if you've got any questions.